Okay, so we're just finishing up the electrical job on this house for my sister-in-law. We did not get disconnects put for the furnace, the water heater, or the well pump. Normally, I have the panel facing into the mechanical room, which is where all of those things are, and so the disconnects aren't necessary. In this situation, though, we flipped the panel around so that the panel opens into a hallway outside of the mechanical room. In this situation, I either have to add a disconnect, or a cheaper option is to add breaker lockouts. These are devices that go onto the breaker while the cover's off like this. And then with the cover in place, if you have to turn the breaker off, then you can use a little padlock system to make sure it stays off. You can work on the equipment, come back out, make sure that it doesn't get turned off while you're working on it. So I'm gonna try and do this with one hand. The first one I'm gonna put on, this is for the water heater, and all I'm gonna do is slide that and put it on the left side first, and then I'm just gonna snap it in place there. Now when I put the cover on, we've got this little gate here, and when I flip this off, I can then put the gate around the breaker, put a padlock here, which will keep that from coming up, and then you won't be able to turn that on. Okay, so here's my single pole breaker lock for my 15 amp circuit right here. I've got a Square D HomeLine breaker. I will put links to all of these, to both of these breaker locks in the description below. Okay, so it was kind of a pain in the butt to do it, so I just used some channel locks. I pulled the breaker out so that I wasn't gonna have any issues of getting shocked, but I slipped this piece on first, and then I just used my channel locks, and I used this little lip right here, and I just squoze it down, and it finally went on. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna put this back in place. Put this back in place here. And now, before we do anything else, once you get that back in, now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my screwdriver, and I'm gonna bend this little safety tab into that notch, and that's gonna hold that breaker lockout in place. Once you've got it secured like that where it won't come off, then all you gotta do is put your little hinge in place, like so. And now you're ready to rock and roll. And like I say, if you flip that off, pull this over, then you can put your padlock through here, through that space, and the padlock will keep that from switching back on. But let's turn it back on because we're inside and we want to keep the heat on. All right, and that's what it looks like installed. Make sure that if the breaker lockout came with any kind of a warning label or any kind of a label at all, the 2-pole breaker lockouts that I had from HomeLine didn't come with one. The single pole did, and it just gives you instructions as far as what padlocks to use. So there you go. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Hope this was helpful. If it was, go ahead and subscribe and follow us so that you don't miss out on any other tips. Thanks for watching.